and welcome to today's session. We are having another, these are some of the foundational sessions, where you get to focus on even the building blocks that are underneath before the surface layer, before the design. So I know a couple of sessions we've been having back, I think it's been tilted more to the design part. So this is a very good one to help us remember, the parts that need to even be set correctly before we can begin to talk about having, insightful reports. So today we are doing data transformation with Power Query, and our speaker is Oluwapelumi Arowosaye. And this session is brought to you by your BZEDGE and MHS. Your BZEDGE is actually, we have been, since 2020, we started this session, this series, and the idea of this series is to allow you all to get to practice what you're learning, and like a weekly practice. So this was the concept that we feel that if you practice something you've learned, once a week, like a 1 hour class every week, we believe that that thing will stick with you, that knowledge will remain there. And if you keep doing this, 1 year, 2 years, you will instantly see the impact in your skill, and if you go take it one notch higher and you try to put this into actual practice, not just passively listening. You try to apply what you're learning. When the speakers give us their practice files, you try to do them on your own. Oh man, I think in 6 months you will see your skills jump up. So that's the reason why we stress ourselves to make this happen, because we believe that it is not just about a marketing approach for us. It's about a fulfillment to people in our network, to people who come to our training, that if they have attend these hourly classes, that's the way we can guarantee that what they have learned will stick with them. They get to be exposed to technologies, new things coming up, different presenters, different teaching approach. So that's the big reason. And then if you need to come for a physical class, a structured learning, you can know that you're in safe hands if you choose us. Okay. Then MHS Analytics is our Canadian entity, so we now have a presence in Canada. We focus more on consulting here, but if you have someone who is also in Canada or in North America, it might be easier for them to just engage MHS Analytics and rather than having to engage your BZEDGE. But we already have clients here in Canada, and we provide more products and consulting. Okay, so to the main session today, or to the main focus of our gathering together today. So our speaker, Pelumi Arowosaye, is a Power Platform advocate, is also certified, Power Platform app maker. He's passionate about making things easy for business owners. He's more of a Power Platform guy, I think, maybe than Power BI. But if you see, they handshake, because once you build the processes, the data entry, and, automate repetitive tasks, you need to sometimes derive insight. So if you look again, it seems to be like a full stack kind of a person. Is the kind of people Microsoft is hoping everybody will become, use the Power BI, use the Power Automate, use the Power Apps. That's like heaven to Microsoft when they see people do that. So he loves giving back to community, and that's why he's here. This is not his first time with us. I don't know if this is second or third, but I know he's presented to us before. I'm going to share his LinkedIn profile with you. I'll put his LinkedIn profile in the Teams chat so you can connect with him. And at this stage, I'm going to go into the backstage and hand over to him. So, Pelumi, over to you. I'll stop sharing my screen. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, boss. I really appreciate that introduction. So good evening, everyone. Kindly confirm if you can hear me in the chat.
You are audible, very clear, and to be
All right.
Thanks.
All right. So I want to ask the question: is the attendees, do they have access to the chat also?
Yes, if you can type in the chat, just say hi.
Okay, okay, okay. So I just want the class to be interactive, so I know that people are actually following. Good evening, everyone. How are we doing? Let's put it in the chat. How are we doing?
I can
I'm
see.
expecting our message in the chat.
Yeah, I see already. You don't see at your end. I see like
No,
four
no,
already,
no.
five. Yeah.
Okay, 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 okay. I can see that. All right. Thank you very much. So let me share my screen. So kindly confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, your screen is visible.
All right, thank you very much. So this evening we'll be looking at data transformation with Power Query. As Michael has said, that there are many aspects to when you are preparing your data. So one of the aspects is also data transformation with Power Query, and most times we use Power Query to transform our data, clean our data for better analysis. So, and this is mean as Michael has introduced earlier. So we don't waste time on that again. So I'll be telling us a short story. So this is Oluwapelumi exhausted after work. So Pelumi got home and met his room very rough and not good looking. And for Pelumi to actually have a good sleep, he need to actually arrange his room very well, transform his room to a better place. So Pelumi did that, and he has this. So Pelumi was able to sleep well that day, because if he had not cleaned the room, if he has not done a very good job to that form to sleep well. And that is the same thing with data. So your data is actually coming from different places, different sources. We have Excel, we have CSV, we have data, different databases. So this is a dirty data. So you can't analyze with this data. So there is a need for transformation, there is a need for cleaning. So that is why we are here to do data transformation with Power Query. So, and this is the clean aspect. So you can see we now have a structured data. We have different columns. We have transaction dates, amounts, source reference information, vendor's name. So with this clean data, we can actually do something. We can actually bring out insights um, compared to the dirty data we have. So with this dirty data, we can't do anything. So that is why it's very, very important as an analyst, data analyst, or whatsoever where you are functioning in. It's very, very important you clean your data, because wherever you are bringing it from, I said earlier, we have different data sources that I will be showing us. I will be showing us when we start. When we move forward. So it's very, very important. This is a dirty data here, and we have clean data. So cleaning your data is highly very important when you want to analyze your data. So what is Power Query? So Power Query majorly is an ETL tool. And what does ETL stands for? So the first E stands for extract. This is where you need to extract your data. Where is your data coming from? I said earlier, we have Excel, we have text or CSV, we have databases, we have web. So this place, extract is talking about where are you bringing your data from. So the second one is T, which is transform. And this is what we'll be doing majorly today. And we'll be doing it in Power Query. This is where you do various transformation. When I go to Power BI, we'll be seeing the different kind of transformation we have. And the last one is load. So after you are done with your transformation, cleaning it, doing a lot of transformation on your data, you need to load it. So either of the BI tool you want to use, Power BI, Tableau, or anyone. But today we'll be using Power BI. Yes, we'll be using Power Query in Power BI. So whatever we are doing in Power BI, also you can also do it in Excel. It's the same thing. So I'll be taking us straight forward to Power BI. So I want us to confirm in the chat if you can see my Power BI screen.
Yes, I see.
All right, all right, all right, all right. Thank you. So I said earlier that Power Query has different, let me say, is an ETL tool. So for you to go to Power Query on Power BI, you have, let me say, to just go in directly without taking data into it. What you just do is just come to transform data. So when you come to transform data, so can we see my Power Query editor?
No, no.
Okay, okay. What about now?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So as I said earlier, that Power Query is an ETL tool: extract, transform, and load. So the extract. So where are you bringing your data from? I said earlier, new source. So we have Excel workbook, we have SQL server, analysis service, text or CSV, web, all data feed. So if you want to look at more of it, you come to more, you see a lot of things. XML, folder, PDF, different ones. There are very, very many. And they're even categorized here. We have file. So these are the file. Things on that file. We have Excel workbook, under database, under Microsoft Fabric, Power Platform, Azure, and the likes. So majorly for today, where we'll be extracting our data from is from
Okay.
Excel workbook.
Pelumi.
Yes.
Again, we are not seeing, I'm sure you are showing sources, right? We are not seeing that. Maybe, do you want to share maybe the entire
Okay.
screen?
Okay. Okay.
to
Okay. Let me do that.
think? Now we see it. Before we are not seeing all this.
Okay.
We're not seeing
Okay.
all of
Okay.
this.
Yeah, all right. Thank you for that. So as I was saying earlier, as I said earlier, that we have different places you can extract your data from. So as you can see here, we have different category: all, file, database, Microsoft Fabric. This is still under preview. So we have Power Platform, from Power BI, data flow, common data service, data vast, and the like. So you have under Azure too, online services and others. So, but for today's session, we'll be bringing our files, we'll be extracting our data majorly from Excel workbook and text CSV. So I will choose Excel workbook and I will connect. So where is my file coming from? So the first one we'll deal with is this sales data. So it's connecting. So it tells me where am I picking it from. Okay, I'm taking 31 and I press OK. So there will be room for questions. So I will run us through it, and after probably 15 minutes to the end of the session, we ask question. So this is Power Query, and we have our data from Excel workbook now. So I would take us through the interface of Power Query. So as we can see here, we are under home, we have file, we have file, we have home, we have transform, we have a lot of tabs under it. We have add column, we have view, we have tools, and we have help. So under home, we have the new source where we are extracting our data from. So this one is talking about the recent sources, like what we have, where I picked my data from. So we have enter data, we have data source setting. This data source setting is like where, let me see, it's like where is my source from. So as you can see here, this is my own desktop users Oluwapelumi Arowosaye from session file folder. So that's data source. So if you want to change your data source, you change it through this manage parameter. Probably you, one or two people are working on a file and you don't want to share it online, you can just manage parameter, refresh, and the like. So majorly what we'll be using here is manage column. We have choose column, we have remove column, we have keep rows, remove rows. I'm just taking us through. So when we start working on this data, we'll see the different areas you can make use of all this. So we have the sorts, ascending, descending, split columns, group by. We have data type here. We have different data type, and data type is very, very important. because whatever data type you are giving it will affect your analysis. So we have different types of data. So with data types, so we have decimal number, fixed decimal number, whole number, and the likes. So I'll be explaining it when we start using it. So we also have match queries, append queries, and the likes. So under transform, we have a lot of things too. So as we can see through my screen, under add column, that's when we have column from examples, custom column, conditional column, and the likes. So let's just start working on this data. So we have these data very rough, too much nulls, too much spaces, and the likes. But we need to analyze this data. So the first thing you need to do is to transform it. You need to clean it to a very structured one that will be okay for analysis. So how do we do that? So the first thing, so as we can see here that we have the first one here, we have column 1, column 2, column 3, and the likes. So we don't need that in our data. And this is a rule. What do you do? Just come to remove rows. As I said earlier, when you click on the drop down, we have different options. You have remove top rows, remove bottom rows, alternate rows, duplicate, and the likes. So but here we are interested in the top rows, so I click on it. So it's asking me specify how many rows to remove from the top. I only want one, which is the row 1. So I put in 1 and I press OK. So and you have it's gone. So if you come to this my right hand side here, where you will see applied steps, we started from source, navigation, and we are now in remove top rows. So this apply step is actually, we'll be recording every step you take in Power Query. There is no, you want to do Control Z. So if you want to remove something, let's say for example, I don't want to remove the role. Probably mistakenly, I remove that particular role. What I can just do is to take my data set back to that place, is just to click on this like a cross sign here. When I click on it, I'm back to it. So that's just the apply step. Apply step will actually be taking note of every step of everything you do on Power Query. So, but I want to remove this role, remove top rows, 1. Okay. So that has gone. So, and we have segments, we have customer. This is actually sounding as, let me see, as a header for the data. So how do I bring this segment, which is in row 1, to become the header? So because on the header we have column 1, column 2, column 3, and the likes. So how do I promote that header? What you do is just come to under transform here, under transform tab. You will see use, after we have group by, we have use first rule as header. I click on this. So it brings the first rule from me to the header. Use first rule as header. So I have my header here. So I have segments, I have customer, I have column, blah, 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 and the likes. So what is the next step? What is the next step I need to do? I need to transpose the data. So what do we mean by transpose? Transpose is just talking about turning your rows to column and your column to your rows, because I'm having too much nodes. So I need to actually make this thing look better. So let me turn my rows to column and my column to rows. So let's see how it is being done here. So you have various ways you can actually do this, where your transpose is. You can see it's under transform, you can see transpose, and you can also even right click on that particular column, and you see, okay, I'm actually seeing if it is actually here, so we can, okay, it is not here. So let's just click on this place, transpose. So can we see that we've transposed this data? Those things that are on column, they are now in row. Those things that, if I go back to my promoted header, I have ship mode, I have order ID. So if I come back to this transpose table, this transpose. We can now see that ship mode, order ID, and I have CA and the likes. They are now in the column aspect. So I now have first class, same day, second class, standard. I'm now having them in my rows. So, but I still need to do more things to this thing. So what do I do? The next thing I will do is to unpivot my columns. So what do we mean by unpivot? So unpivot is actually talking about you taking that unpivot and pivots. Let me say, if you add them together, they are equals to transpose. If you add them together, they're equal to transpose. So unpivot is actually talking about column to row. Why pivot is talking about row to column. So let me unpivot this other columns. So I highlight this and come to, you can see it's unpivot column here. So unpivot columns, unpivot other columns. So I want to pivot other columns here. So I click on unpivot other columns. Oh, I did not promote header here. So as you can see that we have ship mode, we have it at our first row. So I should promote header. So they should be on our header. And how do we do it the other time? Use first row as header. So when I use first row as header, I come to unpivot column here, and I pivot other columns. So can you see that our data is getting it's getting structure now, unlike the first where we started from. As you can see from the navigation, compared to when we unpivoted other columns, we are giving meaning to the data now. So what next do we do? So what I want to take us through now is you actually need to check if you are done with your data. And how do you check? We have something called view here. We have column quality, we have column distribution, we have column profile. These things are very, very important. I check in my column quality. And if you can see, if I uncheck it, you can see that I don't have it. If I check it, I have valid, error, empty. It is telling me that I have 56% valid data here, and I'm having 44% empty data in this my data set. So if you check for under attributes, we have 100%. That is telling us that this column is fine. If you see value, we have valid 100%. That is telling you that this is valid. So if you click on column distribution, what will column distribution tell you? Column distribution will tell you the distinct value you have in that particular column and the unique value you have in that particular column. So what is the difference between distinct and unique? So when we talk about unique, it's just one of a kind. Like, let's say for example, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like I have, that's the thing I have under the colon. That is unique. There is no duplicate, there is no repetition. I'm just having one is just, it appears one times, 2 appears just one time, 3 appear one time. That is unique. But when it comes to distinct can have duplicates. I can have 1 1, 2 3 3, 4 5 5. But if you have to check what are the distinct numbers or what are the distinct data under this column, I just pick 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the difference is they are most likely the same, and we use them interchangeably, but there's a difference between them. And the difference is that distinct allow duplicates, while unique does not allow that. So that's just it. So we can also check column profile. You can do the same thing for this. So as you can see, our column profile is just telling you what is under it, like a chart. Like, so grand total is less than 1% and the likes. So that's just by the way. So let's finish working on our data. So I will uncheck this, I will still check it back. So I come back. So 50%, 56% of my ship mode is valid. Why empty data is 44%. So what is happening? So come and check. So when I click on this drop down here, so you can see here that I'm having nodes I'm having first class, I'm having same day, I'm having second class, I'm having standard class. So this is still telling us that there are norms, there are non values, like empty values that you need to fill. So when I just right click, you can either fill up or fill down. So to check, so fill, when you see, you can just right click, or you can still fill also under transform. Yes, as you can see here, fill here, we have fill down or fill up, but it's just easier when you just right click. So I just right click, I click on fill down for me. So you can see we have 100% ownership mode now. So as you can see now, this our data is actually ready, but not everything. We have 100%, that's the column quality, we have valid 100%, and we have value 100%. So what next do we do? So if you look at, there is something beside the ship mode, beside this, that's the name of the column. We have ABC, we have 1 2 3. For attributes, we have ABC. For value, we have ABC 1 2 3. What are these things? These are data types. Power BI or Power Query just assume that, okay, oh, this is either ABC or 1 2 3 for chip mode. But you yourself, as the analyst, you need to confirm yourself that if this data type are actually right, because it will affect your analysis when you start building your reports, when you start building your dashboard. If you don't have the right data type, it will actually cause issue. So it is better you check it and correct it before leaving Power Query. So for this ABC and 1 2 3, we need to change it to text, because we have text, first class, second class, and the likes. So when you click on it, it brings the different data types for you. So we have, as I said earlier, decimal, fixed decimal, but I'm interested in text. So I click text, it changed the data type for me. For these attributes, it is fine in text, very fine in text. For value, value is like our sales amount or amount. So we need to change it to a currency. So that's fixed decimal number. As you can see here, that we have a dollar sign there. So when I click on it, it transforms it. So if you come to this apply steps, you can see that we have different steps. We now have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 steps we have done in transforming this data. So after changing your data types and you feel it is fine and it's okay, so the next thing is just probably rename your column if it is not having the right name. Like you can see now, ship mode is having like a greater than sign beside it. We need to remove that. How do you rename? You can right click also, you see rename colon. You see rename here. You do it this way, or the another way is just click on the colon and press F2. That's the shortcut. You press F2 on your keyboard. So when I click F2, it brings it out. So I just need to remove the greater than there, and I'm fine with that particular column. For this, I can change this to probably order ID. Change it order ID. That is okay. And I change this to amount. So you can actually load this to Power BI. But there are some other things that we can actually do. You can actually even check yourself before leaving Power Query. So I talked about group by. So what do we mean by group by? Let me click on it and let's see what group by will do for us. So I want to group my ship mode. So it's telling me I want to group it. This is ship mode. I click on ship mode. Is there for me since it is the first column. So what is the new column name? Let me just put it as group. Let me just put it as group. What did I want to do with that? We have different options. We have sum, we have average, we have median, we have mean, max, count rows, and the likes. But I want the maximum number. I want to see the maximum number in the different ship mode we have. We have for first class, we have for second class. So which column do I want to see the maximum number for? So that is the amount column. So when I click OK, I have it. So I can see that first class it has the highest, the maximum number there is 2000 plus. This for ship mode for same day, we have 9. Okay, this 20,000 plus, we have 9,000 plus. So you can actually even check the analysis, do some little analysis here before loading your data to Power BI. So you can do different options. So if you want to change it, you just come under your apply steps. You see a symbol like a setting. You click on it. If I want to change it maximum, probably I want to check the minimum. You click on it. That's how it works. So that's for group by. So I don't need the group by. I just want to show us. So another thing you can actually do here is probably in your ship mode you want to change. Probably you made mistake in your source first class, it should be second class. So I want to replace that value. So I want to replace with second class. So we have an option of replace value here. So replace value, it's asking me for value to find. I type first class, replace with the new one, which is the second class. When I hit OK, so you can see it has replaced the first class to second class. So these are the things you can actually play with in Power Query. We have a lot of things you can actually play with. So I remove that for it. So another thing I want to do is there are things like probably you want to, for this ship mode, we have first class, we have same day. Okay, let me just confirm if we can still hear me. Are we still with me? Kindly put in the chat if you are still with me, if you are following. Kindly put it I'm following in the chat.
Yes, I see some people already also typed yes. So yes.
Okay. Oh, that's fine. All right, thank you. So the next thing I want to do is for my ship mode, I want to categorize, like I want to put some people that are the ship mode that is performing well, like for the amount, like if 500, let's give me like excellent. If it is greater than 1000, give me very excellent or anything. So how do you do that? You come under your add column. That's where you have conditional column. So when I click conditional column here, so it's telling me new column name. Let me just put in performance. Yeah. So which column, if what column, like if amount is greater than, I want to use the first one, 1000. What will be the output for me? Give me excellent. If amount is greater than 1000, give me excellent. Add clause. If the same amount is greater than or equal to 500, give me good. Another one, if is less than the same amount, if it's less than 500, give me poor. So, and that's, I just want to stop here. So, okay, I made mistake, poor. So S, okay, if my condition, if the data will not meet all these conditions, what should it give me? Just give me blank. I can put null or blank there. I just not write anything. Let me just put null. So when I click OK, you can see it has added that colon for me. So 149 is poor, 243 is poor. So you can actually do all those things. So, and don't forget your data type is very, very important. So change your data type. This should be text. This should be text. So let's just move forward. Let me bring in another file and see how we can actually do some transformation with it. So when I want to bring in another file, I click on new source. So I want to bring in a text or CSV file now. I want to bring in a text or CSV file. Let me just bring in one of these. So it's connecting. So I press OK. So you can see this data very, very dirty, and you need to clean it. You need to transform it. So what's the first thing you need to do? These first 10 rules, they are not giving any meaning. So what do? Remove the first 10 rules. So I told us earlier, you come to remove here. So, and it is top rules. So when you click number of rows, I press 10. So I click OK. So you can see under my apply step, remove top rows. So what next do I want to do? I want to promote header. You go to your transform, use first row as header. I click on it. So I need to split this. I am having date, amount, source reference information, and vendor's name under just one column. So I need to split them. So how do I split them? So I come to split colon. So we have different ways you can actually split. I have by delimiter, number of characters, position, lowercase or to uppercase, and the likes. But here I'm interested in the by delimiter. So what delimiter do I want to use? If you look at the data very well, when you have dates, you have space. When I have amount, I have space. When I have the reference number information, I have space. So you can actually use different delimiter. We have colon, comma, equal sign, semicolon, and the likes. So I want space here. So I'm starting with the leftmost delimiter. So I click OK. So you can see what this thing is giving me. So there's actually something wrong with this data. So what is wrong? Because I told it to okay split column by delimiter, which is space, and I expect it to give me the date first here. I expect to give me the data. So what is wrong? So definitely probably you need to actually do some cleaning inside the column, which is probably you trim it. Probably there are some spaces in front of the date. You need to trim it and you need to clean it. So how do you do that? I come here back and I cancel. So I click here. I want to trim it and I want to clean it. So you come under format. That's when you have the trim. The trim is talking about remove leading and trailing white spaces from each cell in the selected spaces. So I trim it and I do cleaning also. I clean it. So I can now come back here to split the column by delimiter, which is the space. So I want leftmost delimiter, which is I want it to extract from the left, not each occurrence of the delimiter. If I click on this each occurrence of the delimiter, it will split everything from me. So but I want it at left. I only want to extract the just split the colon for the dates. So when I click on this, so it splits that for me. So I do the same thing. You trim because there are spaces in front of it. You trim, you clean. You come back here, you split by delimiter, which is space. Leftmost, don't forget. Okay. You do the same thing. Format, trim, clean, and you also split by delimiter, which is space. Leftmost, don't forget. Okay. So we now have the dates, we have the amount, we have the source, and we have the vendor's name. So what you just do, rename it. We have date. Don't forget you can right click and you see rename, or you will see, or you just press F2 on your keyboard. So F2, this is amount. This is okay, amount, F2. I click on it. Let me just say ref info. So do the same thing with this. I have F2 and I have what? The vendor. So if you check our column quality, we still need to do some things. They are still unvalid. So probably there are some things we need to fill down, or there are some things. Okay, let's just share what is there. We have blank. Okay, and we have different things that are not even dates. So what you just do to uncheck all these. These are not adding anything to our data. They are like disturbing our data. So you press OK. So we still have some things there. 89%. So just right click and fill down. Okay, fill down is still not working. Try fill up and check if something needs to be filled up. Okay, so definitely everything is complete here, but it's still giving us 89% valid. So what you just do, you just come here and remove this blank. So they are blank, just remove them. They're not filling anything. So you have 100%. So you can see under amount we have 100%. Under vendor we also have 100%. So the next thing you just do is to change your data type. Don't forget date. This is fixed decimal number. This is text, this is okay, this is okay. So and you are ready for analysis. So you can see with the different steps we have taken over here. So let me quickly rush us up because I still have some things I need to, because our time is fast spent. This is 6:40. So let me bring in another data. So this is actually, we'll be using some formulas. Yes, like custom column, use some formulas to actually do some transformation in Power Query. So let me quickly bring new source, Excel workbook, and I have here text split open here. So I just need to watch it. So you can I will provide the data sets after the session. So you just practice along when you are doing this, when you are watching the recording. The recording will be made available on the YouTube channel. So I check which data I want to bring in. I want to bring in this dirty data, and I click OK. So I click OK quickly. So this thing is not looking okay. So we have order ID for the first role category, and we have amount. I need to promote the header. So what do? Come to transform, use first role as header. So my order ID is actually okay, but I need to split this category and amount. So blinders, we have on one rule, we have blinders, arts, phones, fastener, and we also have their amount in front. But I want each of them. I want blinders to be on a row. I want arts to be on a whole. So how do I do it? You come to add column, you click custom column. So I want to write formula here. So, and which formula will I use? I will use text split. Text.split. There's a formula called text.split in Power Query. We have a lot of formulas. So, but I'm using text.split. Text.split. You click on it, text.split, and you bring in your bracket. So, what is text.split expecting from us? It's expecting text as a text and the separator. So, which column they want to split? The first one is category. So, I click on this here. So I click comma. What is my separator as text? So I'm having like a dash in between. So you put it in quotes and you unquote it. So what is the separator? So this is the separator. I press on my keyboard and I close the bracket. So I click on OK. So I'm having a list. I do the same thing with for amount. You come to add column, custom column, and you come here. The same text.split. Text.split bracket. Do the same thing for amount. What is the separator? The same thing, and I close my bracket and I press OK. So we have two different lists. So how do I want to combine this thing together? So I also use a formula which is called table dot from columns. So actually bring these two together to arrange it in a table for me. So I have custom column. I press table dot from columns. Actually bringing it from, so but it's telling me table. So I delete this. So I press the bracket. So for you to do this, I want to bring in two columns together. So I need to bring in after putting the normal bracket, I need to bring a curly bracket to actually bring these two columns together. And the column are custom one and custom dot one. So I bring in a curly bracket. It's actually asking you list. And don't forget that the custom and custom dot one are list. So I bring in a curly bracket and I press the first custom, comma, the second one. I close the curly bracket and the normal bracket and I hit OK. So now I have a table. So how do I expand it? If you look at beside the custom dot two, that's the name of the column. There is something there. When you click on it, it's telling you expand and aggregate. I want to expand it. So which column? Column one and column two, which contains this. So uncheck this use original column name as prefix, because if you use it, it will tell you column one dot column one. So we don't need that. So I click OK. Here you can see, and I have it the very way I want to have it. I have binders, I have art and the likes. So I have my desired outcome now. So what are the things? What do? I remove everything I don't need. The columns I don't need again. I don't need this category. I don't need amount. I don't need custom dot one and this. So I just press it and right click and remove columns. So when I remove the columns, they are gone. So we have it recorded, remove columns here. So I need to change data type as usual. This should be text. This should also be text. This should be in fixed decimal. And I rename my column. Order ID is fine. Rename this column here. I have this as, let me say, product. And I have this here should be amount. So that is we are fine. I'm fine with this data. So there is another data that is actually close to this one. So I name it practice when I'm sharing the link. So you can just practice along. So if you get it, you can actually reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter. So I will give answers to it and probably will jump on a call. So because of our time, I will not be able to do the second one, the second aspect. So the last thing I'll be touching before I go to question and answer is I'll be looking at match queries and append queries. Very, very important things you need to know when transforming your data. Because why do I need to actually match my query? Why do I need to append? What match query is actually talking about you bringing, we have two different set of data. So let's say, for example, I have data one, I have this GLT printout. So there's something, a particular thing actually that is the same thing. Okay, let me just bring in the data so we can see quickly. Excel workbook. I have employee match data here. Open quickly. So I'll just teach us how we can match data. So I want to bring in employee this and states. So I click OK. So I have the two stuff here. I have the two data here. So when you are matching your data, it is very, very important. It is very, very important you have a unique column that you need to use to match this data. So here I want to bring in my data here, I have state 2. I want to bring in this state inside this employee match 1. So under employee match 1, I have different columns: state ID, name, salary, and the likes. So under state, I have state ID and state, but I want to bring in state to join with this employee ID. So I need to merge it. And the unique thing that is in between that we have in both of the data is the state ID. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 under it, and also here state ID we have 1 to 8. So we have different ways you can actually match. So match queries, you have it under the home tab. So when you come here, you click, you can see match queries as new. So what is this match queries telling us? Match queries telling us that if you want to match queries, it will be inside that the table, the first table you pick. That's where it will match it for you. But as new, it will create another table for you entirely. So but I'll be using match query as new. So we have different kinds of okay, as I said here, this is employee match one I want to use. Match queries to match as new. So the new unique aspects, yeah, this is the first table, employee match 1, and the second one is the state 2 I want to use. The state 2 I want to use. So you just come here, what's the unique thing? The state ID, and the under this one too, we also have state ID. So when you see it under here, you have the selection matches 8 of 10 rows from this first table. So we have different kind of join here. We have left outer, right outer, full outer, inner, left anti and right anti. So I have it on my slide here. Let me just quickly explain it to us, the different ones. Sorry, please, can you see my PowerPoint now? So I can rush us through the different type of join we have. Kindly confirm in the chat if you can see my PowerPoint slide. Kindly confirm in the chat if you can see my PowerPoint slide. Okay, I can see. Okay, all right. Thank you, Chukwuebuka. So we have different one. See, the first one is inner. What is the inner telling you? Is that it is looking for from the left table and the right table. What is the data that is merging? Like that. Okay, what do we have in the first one? What do we have in the second one? It will actually give you the same thing you have there. So the inner is just only matching rows from the left and the right. That is what inner will give you. It will return the only matching rows in the left and the right. So we have the second one here. Let me just run us quickly. So I just do 1 or 2. We have the left. What is the left telling you? It will only give you, it will return only the rows from the left and the matching rows from the right. As you can see the description here. So for the right also, right will return all the right table and the matching rows, all the columns under the right, it will return it, and the matching rows in the left. So we'll see how it will play out when we see that. So full outer will bring all the rows, both tables. So we have left anti. So left anti will just give you rows that are in the left table that don't have any matching rows. The same thing with right anti. It will give you the one that is not matching from the right table. So let me quickly go to my Power BI and let me show you that. So as you can see here, I'll just be doing just left outer. So here we have state ID. Make sure you have having unique thing that is actually in between that is common between the two table. So I have okay. I'm using left after as my join kind. So when I click OK, so it's giving me state 2. It's giving me to expand a table. So when I expand it, so I only want state. I don't want state ID. I already have state ID in the table already. So when I click OK, so you can see, if you notice, we use left outer. So I have 10 rows, but for my state I only have 8 rows and the last 2 is nulls. Why is this thing happening? Because under our state we only have 8 rows. That is why. Because the left outer will return all the item, all the rows in your left. So and it will give you the matching role from your right. And don't forget that our employee match 1 is the left, while state is the right. So because we don't have any value for the 9 and 10 rows, it's giving us null. So if you do the same thing for what do we call it, for right outer. Okay, let me just do the same thing. Merge as new, bring in my state, and this click on this. I change this to right outer and I click OK. So you can see the same thing, just expand. I only need state. So you can see it returns the rows, all the rows on the right side, that's the right table, and the matching ones on the left. You can see we don't have 9 and 10. So because the right outer is not seeing any matching row for 9 and 10, that is why we have it. So you can actually exploit left outer, right outer, full outer based on what you want. So this is match query. It's very, very important. It helps you. So it helps a lot when you are matching your data because it gives completeness to your data. You don't have to be going up and down to be checking different columns. So, okay, what is in this data? You can actually match the query together. So you have that. So quickly, I'll just take us through append. Append is just like opposite. Match will help you do the column, while append is the rules. So let me just bring in the data quickly and we round off. So I also have it as Excel workbook. So I have the sales Q1 append. Sales Q1 append. So I want to bring in this to table. So I click OK. So don't forget to always change your data type. Very, very important, because Power Query will just give you data type you think is best for it, but always check. So for append query, I have append 2.1 and I have append 1 also. So for the first one, I have 20 rows. For the second one, I have 10 rows. So very, very important for append query. If you want to append your query, your column names must be the same thing for both tables. So here we have ID, we have product sales, and we have, for the second table, we have ID, we have product, and we have sales. So this is very, very easy for us to append. So why are we appending? Why am I having the first 20 rows in the first table and I'm having another one, the last 10 rows in another table? Why not just bring it together and just have my data in one place? So you come to the same place under the match query, you have append. I also append as new. Very, very important. You can append queries, but it will be in the first table you clicked on. So append queries as new. So it's telling me we have option of 2 tables and we have option of 3 or more tables. But here I only have 2 tables. So if you have 3 or more tables, you click on this other aspect. But here I only want to use 2 tables. So it's telling me the first one, sales, for that's the first table. So what's the second table? I click on the second table and I click OK. So you can see I have it everything on a single place from 1 to 30. But if you notice, I have 1 to 20 on the left, I have 21 to 30 on the right. It's because of the data type. So that's why I say it's very, very important you always check your data type. So just change your data type in both where you have it. So I change this to text, and this to fixed decimal. So I come to under this place again, text, and this fixed decimal number. So you come to your append, you see you are fine. So it's changed it for you. We have the text, we have the for product, we also have text data type, and for the sales, we have fixed decimal number. So that is where I'll be ending my session today. So I don't know if we have any question.
Thank you very much. So any questions from anyone in the house?
You can raise up your hand if you have any question. Hello, Michael, are you still there? Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
So there is one question.
Okay.
So the question is around, you won't see it in the chat anyway. So between in deciding what to do in Power Query and what to do in the, in this case now in Power BI DAX, and like you mentioned, Power Query 2 is also in Excel. But in deciding what to do in Power Query and what to do outside of Power Query, maybe do it in DAX or do it in the Excel sheet itself, what rule of thumb do you have? What's the easiest way to know this is what should be done in Power Query and this is the other one? I mean, all these other things should be done within maybe Power BI DAX itself.
Okay. So there's no one straight answer to this. So as I always tell people, very, very important. When you want to even start, before you start anything, map out the things you want to do, like draft out your business questions. So this will actually give you what you need to do and what you don't need to do. So when you have the business question, you can actually know what to do in Power Query. But for Power Query, you just do mainly your transformation in Power Query, like just clean your data to suit it. So, but DAX, probably you need something outside the Power Query, like probably complex things that's okay. And most times, when you actually model your data very well, that's the data modeling aspect. Using DAX will actually very easy for you. So, but for me, my own rule of thumb for this, when you want to do Power Query or use DAX, Power Query is for, I said earlier, extract, transform, and load, majorly for data transformation. If you can see, when I started with dating one, you can see that it's a lot of this. The data was very dirty. So when I come to navigation, very dirty. There is no how you can use DAX to actually clean these things here. Power Query is for you to clean your data and bring it, let's give it a structured something. So outside DAX, outside Power Query, when you want to use DAX, probably to just give further, when you need further analysis for your data. But for Power Query is for you to clean your data and transform your data to best suit your analysis. So that's just it. There's no one straight rule to it, because we all have different that.
Okay,
So that's
thank
my
you.
summation on that.
Yeah, thank you very much. And any other question before I see, thank you very much. And show me later in the sheet. So I see that D is asking a question. I'm going to read it the way I see him type it here. Just trying to close the things blocking me. All right, so thank you this is D in the chat room right now. So I'm reading what he wrote. Thank you
Okay.
very much. After transforming the data, is it possible to export out of Power BI?
I don't understand. Mean export out of Power BI? Like, I
Maybe
don't
he
get
doesn't
the
want to
question.
use the final transform data in Power BI. He wants to, should I say, maybe he wants to export it somewhere else? Or D, do you want to unmute? Should I promote you as a speaker? Let me just do that. So I'm making it a presenter, a speaker, so you can unmute. So D, I've given you a speaker right to, I'm trying to unmute. Let me see who else has dropped questions. Ashenafi is asking, how do you connect to data from Microsoft Azure?
Yeah, you
Okay.
have that option. Okay, please let me
Yeah.
answer that question before you. So you have that option from when you click on new source. Yeah, let me just do that. When you click on more, so you have Azure here. So different one you want, you can connect from here. Yeah, so that answers your question. I hope I answered your question. So we have new source, you can actually connect from there. So D, go on.
Okay. Speaking of a situation in which I don't want to carry out the whole do the dashboard in Power BI. I just want to use the ETL to ensure my data is clean enough and export it somewhere else to go use it, maybe to Python or something, because I'm more fluent with data cleaning with Power BI. Is it possible to export data after cleaning? I have to use Power BI.
Okay, based on my understanding, I don't know about Python, and I think you can also do some data cleaning on Python. I'm not really very sure. So, but for when you are done with your transformation in Power Query, when you load, it is on Power BI. So I don't know if there is an option on Python to use the Power BI file, because this will just serve as a Power BI file. So when I click close and apply here, so actually loading it. So I don't know, probably on Python, if you have option of import it, probably import Power BI file on Python. I don't know about that. But when you do your probably you do your Power Query on Excel, when you close and apply, you have it inside the, let me say, the workbook. Probably there's an option for you to actually take that from Excel too. I don't know about Python at all. So but if there's an option, so definitely you can actually take it out of Power BI or Excel. You probably use Excel too. So I hope that answers the question.
And maybe just to give some other ideas, the um,
Okay.
if you exactly as Pelumi has said, if you do the same Power Query stuff within Excel and you close and load, it will load it into Excel. And all other software, they can load Excel's data. So if you like, you can save it and then take that to your other tool that you prefer. And you can even save as CSV, and that even gives you, more flexibility to wherever else you want, because it's now become like a flat file that every analytics tool can use. So I'm just trying to reinforce that option that Pelumi has mentioned, of that if you use it in Excel, it loads it into Excel. I think that one can be one of your easiest, because Power BI, if you load it into Power BI, uh, I also don't know if there's yet a package in Excel that can read a Power BI file, and it's not going to even be reading the right way, if you ask me. So I don't know.
Thanks very much for that.
Any other question?
Okay, I dropped a few other questions in the chat. Just
Okay. One restriction I know that you might face with Excel is if the data is now more than 1,056,000, 568 rows, it becomes a problem. So in that case, what I do is I do it in Power BI, then I use Dark Studio to export it as a CSV. If someone's
okay, do
hand
it
is
in
up.
Power BI.
Yeah, I do it in Power BI, I load in Power BI, then I use Dark Studio. So you can connect Dark Studio to a Power BI instance it's a very kind of quick, easy to do thing. But Dark Studio has export, so you can export to whichever format, and CSV does not have row limits, so you can just export to CSV. So I've had to do that for like millions of rows of data before.
I'm just getting a last clear for the first.
Okay. Olufemi, I see your hand is up. Yes.
You can unmute Olufemi.
Yes, thank you. I asked a question in the chat group. I just want to understand the idea behind the filling up and filling down when we have some form of missing value in the data you were cleaning earlier.
Yeah.
I just want to understand if it was based by probably those values were filled based on main value or just mode or anything else. Thank you.
No. I think someone answered it. Just fill in the blank. There are sometimes, like let's say for example, I have. Okay, let me just go to Power Query and show you something. Probably, okay, let me continue saying it. Probably you have the date, and you have nulls under. Let's say for example, probably with your source Excel workbook or CSV, or let me just use Excel workbook. Probably you have it as the date there. So you need to fill it down or fill it up. So to actually give it a structured something, I think where do we use it? Where do we use it? Fill down. Okay, let me come fill down here. So if you come here, you will see okay, unpivoted columns. So we have 56%. Yeah, we have nulls. We have nulls. If you go to the Excel workbook and check very well, you will see that there are some these nulls you need to fill them either for the first class or same day or second class. So but when you fill, okay, let me uncheck this thing. Okay, let me just select or let me see the nulls. So you can see here, so that you know that there's data here. So and there's something that need to fill it. So it's either one of the category there, which is first class, same day and the likes. Okay, let me check first class and same day. So you can see it's even first class. So you need to fill it down. So you can see. So you have first class. I have some nodes. I have some nodes. I have some nodes. So I have first class again. I have some nodes. So the best option is just for you to fill down. So when I fill down, it fill it for me. So that's just it. So this is another way you can actually check the nulls to see the data beside it. You know, there was one I did fill down and fill up for, but it was not filling because it's all through the columns. We have blank there. So that's, I hope I answered that question.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank
Well,
you.
why you didn't let me give another common one that I've seen. So if you use pivot table in Excel, most times, when you put multiple things in the pivot table, say row and columns, what will happen is it can put year 2020 and you put month. In the column for month, it will start writing January, February, but it will not repeat the 2020. So you will just have 2020 in column A. You will now have like maybe 12 blank rows below it. You will now have Jan, February, in the column after. And maybe you will now have data, let's say sales after. Now, after 2020, you now have again 2021. You will now have all the months again, but beside the month, there will be no year showing. It will just be blank. So I've had data like that, especially when we export data from SAP, from most of all these ERP. When they have configured them to summarize data and you pull it out from your web portal, when you download them, even bank statements too, I've had bank statements where, sometimes they will not repeat things because they will just write maybe today's date. And then all the transactions that happened that today's date, you will see them, but they will not repeat that today's date until they will go to tomorrow's date. So if I'm analyzing, like he has explained now, you're analyzing in Power, you will need that null is going to cause problem because when you download the report, because you are a human being, you know that up until before you see tomorrow's date, it means all those transactions that did not have a date were for today's date because it was only the first transaction today put today's date. So now you need to fix it so that the program too will know. So that's what I usually use this fill down, fill up. Fill down is even more common to just fill the date down. I don't know if that also
Okay.
helps a bit.
Yeah, thank you for that example.
Thank you. Victoria, I see your hand up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
All right, good evening. Yeah, my question is, I think it is related to what the last person talked about field up and field down. Because I was working with the data some months ago, and I think I gathered it was a questionnaire on Google form. So there are some places that people didn't fill at all, like they didn't write anything. So it is null. So I realized that if I remove rows, that means I'm removing parts of my responses, like I'm removing parts of my data. So what I did was, I've forgotten. I think I replaced that null with something else. I can't remember. So I feel, is it can fill up or fill down work with that, please?
Okay, let me answer that. So that's why I said it's very, very important when you want to start analyzing. You need to also go through your data and check very, very well. So you don't just see nulls and just decide that, okay, I just want to do my own, like at my own discretion, I just want to do anything. It doesn't work like that. You need to ask yourself question, why do we have nulls? Why this thing happens? For your own feedback, the Google form, you said they did not feel anything. So
Yeah.
there are different ways you can actually work with nulls. Yes, I could not cover it. So you can actually replace it with anything you want that best suits your own analysis, and you can also leave it. So based on what you want to achieve with that data. So but it's very always advisable when you see nulls in your data, you need to ask yourself question, why do you have nulls? Why is this thing here? So and you need to, as you said earlier, that if you remove it, you're actually removing part of your data. So if you just feel that the nulls is okay, probably is at the discretion, let's okay, the person feels that I don't need to fill anything here. So it also works. So there are different ways that you can actually manage noise values in Power Query. I could not cover that. So you can just type on your Google how to treat node values. Yes, it's you will see a lot of things, and most especially from Foresight BI. You'll see they talked about different things that can also help you. So you don't just remove nodes from your data, because you're also removing part of your data, because that is not the only column you have in your data. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. But let me just ask, what did you do? Or what did you now finally do in your situation, Victoria?
That is what I said. I didn't even remember what I did then.
Oh,
I've forgotten. Only if I open my Power BI and check my data.
that's nice. I just want to also mention, like he said, like Pelumi said, no, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Just like zero too. It's just that in Power BI, if it was in Excel, null would be null is zero, blank. Excel treats them the same way. But in Power BI, because it wants you to know when people filled in something and they filled zero versus when they didn't fill. So that's why you see them as null. And you know, sometimes it could just be actually correct. If you ask me what my age is and I didn't fill it because it was optional, then it means I don't want you to have anything in it. So that means what I didn't feel is correct. If I left it blank, it's correct. That's what is correct. You should not, maybe in that instance, do anything to it. You shouldn't give me an age that you think I should have. So I'm just saying that sometimes it's correct. It's not always bad, like Pelumi has said.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for that.
I'm checking to see if any more questions, and hey, we've used a lot of our speakers' time. I'm going to, for the people that asked how to access that studio, I've put it in the link. Um, okay, someone else who was trying to answer. I see Adiremi saying that it might be that. Well, this same question is more about the rationale. Okay, so yes. So Pelumi, two more questions, and then we will let you go. Number one is
Okay.
how you started your data analysis journey. I know you are heavily also into the entire Power platform, I mean the Power ecosystem. So you can also maybe, tell us about that. And then the second question is your advice to people who are starting out now. What's the right way to skill up, effectively?
Okay, so for the first question, I get serious with my journey. I started with, let me say, data analysis. Yeah, during my service year. So, and it was a workshop organized for Copper by Adewale Yusuf, and which is your friend. So I was privileged to be part of the workshop. So that's actually give me a foundation of data analytics. Yes, and then we talked about Power BI, Excel. So I started doing all those things during my service year. So that's how I started it. And after then, D Brown also organized a boot camp. That's is the one they organize every year. So I was part. They taught us Power Apps. That was majorly of Power Platform. They taught us Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power BI. But I actually fell in love with Power Apps. I love Power Apps a lot. So I just do side of Power BI for the reporting and analysis aspects. So that is how I started the journey. So it was during my service, and that was 2022 majorly. Yeah. So for the second question, okay, for those just starting out, what I will just say, don't give yourself pressure. There are too much noise outside there. Learn the foundation. So when you learn the foundation, it solidify your learning when you keep learning. But if you just jump in from one place to another, it will not help. So just stick to one thing. It's not there's no rushing. No one want to take over you. But you just need to be strategic about it. Probably in this month, I want to learn about the foundation of Power BI just to know the interface, how Power BI works. Probably the next month you can move to. It depends. Probably you want to talk about data visualization, but just have a structured plan. Noise is outside there, most especially on Twitter, LinkedIn. You will see different things. Don't give yourself pressure. But when you are being consistent, you do today, you do tomorrow. It's not easy, but if you can just give your times to hit, yes, it pays. Yes. So just learn the foundation and be strategic about your journey as a data analyst or Power Platform person, and you will be fine. So that is from my hand. That's all I have from my hand when you are starting out.
Well, thank you very much. And so with that, we have come to the end of today's session. Um, I'm going to just share there's another thing I'm supposed to share. I forgot to share it. Let me just quickly share it. So I'm just trying to get a bit. For those who probably are interested about the recording will be out tomorrow. I will also share the link of where you will get the recording. So, okay, so I've gotten the other thing I wanted to share. Let me quickly put it in the chat box. So if you help us with the feedback for today's session, and we say special thank you to Pelumi for his time with us, and this it's a lot he covered in 1 hour. It's a lot. So it's a lot of work he has done ahead to prepare the practice file, and when people cover a lot in a session, it means they've done more behind the scene that we don't see. So we appreciate that. I'm putting in the link of our channel where you're going to see the video, the recording. Oh, okay, they're also asking for the data set.
Yeah, I will share that with you.
Okay, all right.
So
So I will
I will share the link via email. So probably you attach it to the YouTube
the
channel
video.
or thereabouts.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. We'll try that then. Okay. So thank you to everyone, and most especially thank you to Pelumi for the wonderful session, and to everyone I say have a wonderful week ahead. See you next week.
Thank, thank you
Bye.
very much, sir. Bye.
Bye.